You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's news talk leader, Phil Williams, here in the Rightside studios, sort of in the Rightside studios, off in a secret, undisclosed location. I received the passcode, and I am currently ensconced in the Dale Jackson bunker in Huntsville, Alabama, preparing for tonight's events at Terry's Pizza. But in the meantime, we're glad to be with you because, as always, we got the local, we got the state, we got the national, covering down on all the issues. And like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to a Wednesday, a crazy Wednesday. I'm sitting here, and luckily Boomer is on the board back in the studio. Hey, Boom, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, and it is Wednesday.
Oh, play it.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo! All right,
See,
man.
that just makes you happy right there.
That's right. You are halfway to the weekend, all you people. So all you right side ruffians that slave your way through the week working for the man, you are now halfway to Saturday. So congratulations on it. Boomer, I already miss our studio. I'm sitting here in Dale Jackson's bunker. It's like there's empty beer cans and a broken stool and just, dirty socks. And
I know if people
awful.
are watching the live stream, they're going to see like this news channel behind you with the green screen. I mean,
I don't know what's happening.
What's going on?
Unfortunately, I probably left a few of my passwords on Dale's computer. No telling what's going to happen to our show tomorrow.
Oh, no.
But
we'll have to be watching out.
We'll get through it. All right. Hey, listen, you guys, we got a great show laid on for you. It is Wednesday. Aside from being hump day, that means that it's 4 p.m. today that we do the Grand Council. So at Grand Council with Jeff Poor and Dale Jackson, who will be joining me here in his own bunker. But yeah, that's today at 4 o'clock. As always, we opine and we ping each other with questions and we just kind of see how we do. And it's a great time. And then I got a triple dipper full of stuff. So hit it, buddy.
The Triple Dipper. 3 stories you've got to know.
There it is, the Triple Dipper. 3 stories, 3 themes, if you will, that you got to know as we run today's show. So number one, right out the gate, and I'll probably talk about it a little bit in my monologue here in a moment, but out the gate, I'll just tell you, you're hearing a lot of stuff about COVID again. COVID madness. That's what I'm calling this number one of the Triple Dipper. We've been here before. We ain't going back. So number one, COVID madness. We'll talk about it. Brace yourselves. Number 2, I didn't get to this a couple of days ago. It's a good one though. Magic Bus. We're gonna take a ride on the Magic Bus. What was that song by The Who, I believe? Oh, Magic Bus. So we're gonna take a ride on the Magic Bus. Phil, what are you talking about, Magic Bus? Have you heard that electric school buses are now all the rage? Oh, it's true. Electric school buses. We have some in Alabama. How's that going to work out? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? We'll talk about a ride on the Magic Bus, number 2 on the Triple Dipper. And then number 3, the southern border spiked back up. I'm not sure that it ever really truly simmered down, but at least it wasn't in the headlines as often. Well, it's back. And there's a whole lot to be said about it. So number 3, Triple Dipper, I'm calling it mass migration. This is beyond people just trying to find, a new place to live. No, this is mass migration. This is a movement of people. We are now in the millions. That's not illegal immigration. That's a mass migration. So we'll talk about that. Number 3 on the Triple Dipper. All right, let me jump over here. My comments for the day. I remind you guys that Southern Immediate Care, a chain of medical clinics all throughout North Alabama. They've got them in places like Gadsden, Anniston, Atala, 5 locations in the Birmingham area. Southern Immediate Care, a great group of folks. I know the people that own Southern Immediate, love them, think the world of them. And I also appreciate their facilities. Every time I go, because that's who I use, clean as a whistle, great staff. Southern Immediate Care, sponsor of the Right Side Way monologue every single day, and we appreciate it. So let me jump into my comments here, and I'll start off by saying this. My daughter, I'm biased, but I believe that my daughter is one of the sharpest people I know. Charlene and I have said before, it's a real blessing when you realize you raised kids that just turned out better than yourself. I mean, both of our kids qualify for that description. And like I said, my daughter is one sharp young lady. Well, when she was in high school, there was a period there where she was being bullied, and it was real. It was obvious. The girl that did the bullying, she was a known problem. She was a total pill. No one knew what to do with her. And somehow, my girl became the target. So we went through all the stages of it with her. We encouraged her, we affirmed, we prayed, we tried to address it, but the problem still continued. And finally, one day I was talking to my girl. She told me the bully had done something again. I looked at my daughter, and realizing how exemplary she had held up under it, I was just tired of it. And as a dad, I know that I've got rougher edges than Charlene did as a mom. But at this point, I think that rougher edges were what was needed. I looked at my lovely daughter, a person who was beautiful inside and out, and I told her this. I said, well, girlfriend, here's the deal. You go to school tomorrow, and if she says something to you again, you go right ahead and pop her right in the mouth. I will have your back. And she stared at me for a minute. She asked, really? I said, oh, yeah, I mean it. You pop her in the mouth, and I will have your back. You will face no problems here at home. I could see that it got all over her. But that's the thing, folks. Sometimes when all is said and done, when patience has been used and abused, and when all other means have been exhausted, it may just be necessary to have to pop a bully in the mouth. Now, before you question whether I'm calling for violence, I am not. It is in my nature to be a fighter, I'll be honest, and I'll fight when needed, but I also recognize the better part of valor is to generally seek a nonviolent solution whenever possible. But in the heat of the moment, if my family's at risk or those that I'm charged with caring for or that which I've worked to build is being threatened by a bully, you know what? Then it may come time to take that stand. And we can look at bullying in the big picture. Let's talk about it in terms of foreign policy and things on the world stage, the macro level, if you will. How about the macro level of bullying? Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, she was once in a position where she was being forced and pushed and cajoled to try and join a nuclear disarmament pact, and she was having none of it. And she said this, here's her quote. She said, quote, a bully has no respect for a weakling, and the way to stop a bully is not to be weak. The way to stop a bully from ever being a bully is to say, I'm as strong as you, and anything you do to me, I can do to you. So we're going for nuclear and conventional disarmament, she said, but we're going about it in the right way. In other words, she had her job to do, and no amount of haranguing and pressure from other world leaders and media pundits was going to cause her to leave the course that she had set for her people. But that's the macro level. What about when government is involved in bullying at the micro level? What about little old you and me? What can you and I do when big government weighs in on us and tells us what we know is not true or demands that we capitulate to the latest flavor of the month in public policy? We have a right to our own opinions. We do. We have a right to ask questions, to weigh things out for ourselves. We have a right to not be bullied and to exercise our own judgment about beliefs, about with whom we will associate, about where we will work and what we will do with our time and resources. But the latest trends in government clearly indicate that they don't want you to have any singularity or self-determination. It is apparent that the Biden administration is going to attempt to gaslight us at every turn. And we must ask questions. It is our right. Even God himself welcomes a dialogue. You may have heard of a guy named Josh McDowell. He's a world-renowned Christian apologist. He's somebody who specializes in offering clear arguments for why Christianity is real. Well, McDowell wrote an amazing book several decades ago, and it was called Evidence That Demands a Verdict. I highly recommend it. It's a solid and analytical piece that, like chapter by chapter, lays out the reasons why the Bible and Christianity can be proven based on actual evidence. But then he turned around and wrote a kids version for youth groups and teens to study. I used to use that book when I was leading Bible studies when I was in youth ministry full time. And I thought the title he gave to the youth version of his famous analysis was very interesting. He titled it, Don't Check Your Brains at the Door. Don't check your brains at the door. And the premise of the title was that too many Christians go to church and they just leave their brains at the door and they sit in their pews and they never ask questions. McDowell's firm belief is that God Almighty, the Alpha and the Omega, the creator of the heavens and earth, the God of all creation, that same God does not mind when we ask questions. In fact, he welcomes it. He created our brains. Why would he not want us to exercise them? Okay, but that's a loving God. What about government? Are we allowed to ask questions of government? Well, the answer is either yes, or we're being bullied. The answer is either yes, we're allowed to ask questions, And if the answer is not yes, then that means that government is chosen to be a bully. There's no middle ground. If government has our best interest at heart, then the idea that we would have a question or a concern or a differing viewpoint, that should be okay because they have our best interest at heart. Because having someone's best interest in place as a priority means you would want them to feel free and comfortable to differ and have your own viewpoint. But if government takes the road of setting the narrative and demanding you get on board, well, then we're back to dealing with bullies. Listen, if COVID taught us anything, it is the simple fact that the government is not always about what is in our best interest. We saw the best and the worst of what government can do. In some locales, we witnessed a decided effort to maintain freedoms while treating the disease, but in others, we saw what happens when power corrupts and the effort to control becomes paramount. And during COVID, we saw some pretty serious government bullying, and it should never be allowed to happen again. Never, ever. There's a lot of talk out there about new variants of COVID suddenly being found, talking head chatter on the rise saying that masking and booster shots are about to be brought out of their dark corners and thrust back into the spotlight. Do me a favor. Don't check your brains at the door. Don't check your brains at the door. Ask questions. Demand answers. We should never, ever allow ourselves to go back into that sheepfold again. There will be those that will, and there will be accusations toward those that don't. But we have more than enough history to work with here. I, for one, am ready to face this down, punch it in the mouth, and ask all the questions. Let's never be that group again who checks our brains at the door. And that's a wrap for the Right Side Way. Well, there you have it. And I really do. I mean that with all sincerity. I believe there's a time and a place to tell a bully, not today. It ain't going to happen today. And there's a time and a place to ask questions. And we have a right to ask those questions. We do. Absolutely. All right. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. You guys stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Oh, I'm saying covering down on some major ground as we literally set the standard right here in Alabama. Hey, welcome back. We got the unusual circumstance of me being safely ensconced in the secret Dale Jackson bunker right now. The background behind me gives it away as he has the wrestling posters on the wall. This room completely littered in empty beer cans and dirty socks and broken down furniture, but I'm just proud to be here nonetheless. Hey, listen, all kidding aside, thanks to Dale for letting me be here in his place today as we have the event scheduled tonight, 6 p.m., Terry's Pizza on Bailey Cove Road. You guys need to be there tonight. We're doing the watch party for the GOP primary debate. And and then there's been one slight change. So many prayers and congratulations to our buddy Yaffe, whose wife is having a baby as we speak. So Yaffe will not be at the table tonight. My understanding is it appears that Congressman Mo Brooks is going to be subbing in as one of the three pundits, be myself and Dale and the Mo
That's
sitting
awesome.
at the table together today. Yeah, it's going to be good, man. Looking forward to it. So we'll see how that goes. Terry's Pizza tonight, 6 p.m., Bailey Cove Road in Huntsville. Y'all come on out and join us. We'll have the watch party, and Mecca Music is going to be there to moderate the three of us yahoos as we opine on what we saw or didn't see in tonight's debate. Man, text message already going, Boomer. I'm sitting over here looking at them. Because yes, we are fully functional. I do have all of the capabilities here, a lot of them actually. Gina from Athens, regarding the bully, and she gives me a Bible verse, Ecclesiastes 3, especially verse 8. I will take a look at that. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate you. Peg Leg Dave from Gurley says, love the bully story with your daughter. God bless you, Phil. My dad had a very similar experience when I was a kid. You really brought back a great memory. Yep, there you go. And a lesson I was able to pass on to my lovely daughter. Well, thank you, Peg Leg. I appreciate you, man. John C. from Madison, just a great monologue. Thank you, John C. Jeff from Indiana says, Phil, I hate to tell you, but if you voted for Joe Biden, you may not have anything to check at the door. I said the thing about don't check your brains at the door. And he's saying if you voted for Joe Biden, you might not have anything left to check at the door. I see it. Steve from Tennessee says, design and sell a right side t-shirt for You Ain't Masking Me, and you will sell them all. Steve from Tennessee. I suspect we could do that, Boomer.
Yes.
Yes. Like we will not make right side masks. There will be no
None.
face diapers that have stars on them. We will not do that.
Yuck.
But we might have a t-shirt that says ain't no mask around here.
I do like that.
Okay. All right. There's a plan in the works. We know a guy. He's got a t-shirt. We know a guy. Allie from Athens said, well said, Senator Josh McDowell is one of the great ones, and I thank you for reminding everybody about his awesome ministry. Indeed. By the way, if you've not seen that, I was actually having lunch with somebody today. I was up in here in Huntsville, so I just called a friend, and we sat down and ate some meat and three over at Walton's on Whitesburg in Huntsville. But free advertising for them there. But we were sitting there talking about biblical archaeology. There's a whole chapter in Josh McDowell's book. The book is called, the adult version is called Evidence That Demands a Verdict, meaning there's so much evidence out there that the Bible's real. And once you read this stuff, you're like, okay, I got to make a choice. I mean, I can't look at the evidence and not render a verdict in my own mind. So that's what the book's about. Whole chapter on biblical archaeology, all the different places. And he has to update it periodically because they keep finding more. But all the different places where things have been basically dug up or discovered that validate things that were said in Scripture over 2,000 or more years ago. Alice from Huntsville. She says, did I miss it? Did your daughter take care of the bully? Let's just say they had a moment, Alice. They had a moment. I'll leave it at that. John from Huntsville says, Phil, I just wanted to let everybody know that I gave both you and Boomer an A++ yesterday. Boom,
right.
we got our grades in late.
There we go.
I thought it was one of the most creative and well thought out texts. I even sent it in early, but Jeff from Indiana stole the last 10 minutes of the show. So I thought perhaps the introduction to a new segment called 10 Minutes with Jeff. Well,
That's funny.
John was feeling left out because we didn't get to read out our grades yesterday. So we both got A++. Hey, have we ever both had A++ on the same day?
I don't know. I don't think so.
That's big doings.
That is big doings. Thanks,
All right.
John.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you. Hope to see you and some of the others that, it's what's so cool is like nights like tonight where I get to go to Terry's Pizza. I'm hoping that what I'm going to do is have somebody walk up and go, "Hey, I'm so and so from somewhere. Hey, I'm the guy that so and so." I'm looking forward to meeting some of these personalities tonight. And so anyway, you guys hope you're there. 6 p.m. tonight, Terry's Pizza, Bailey Cove Road, Huntsville. By the way, that's my old stomping grounds. I believe that's right down there, if I'm not mistaken. They moved it since I graduated high school, but I graduated from the old Grissom High School, and I am pretty sure that Terry's Pizza is right there in the same general vicinity, which means my 68 Mustang ran up and down those lanes. And Amy from Danville just said, I spaced out in the car line. Said, what was the name of the author of the archaeology book? Yeah, thanks, Amy. It's Josh McDowell, and it's called Evidence That Demands a Verdict. Evidence That Demands a Verdict. It's more than just archaeology, but one whole chapter is dedicated to the concepts of biblical archaeology and what it proves. All right, Boomer, do I hear music playing?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're playing. That means we're going to a break. You guys stay tuned. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful in the nation, Alabama. I'm talking about this show sends its signal like way down south of Birmingham and up north of Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, back to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, and even Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. All right. Well, hey, listen, we're going to jump right in. By the way, I do have to say this, though, first. Boomer, I don't know if you saw the text just now from Jeff from Indiana. He heard the grades that we got from John from Huntsville. He heard John from Huntsville talk about the fact that he stole the last 10 minutes of the show. And Jeff wants to know, he says, I'm feeling a little left out. What's my grade?
For the 10 minutes of Jeff with Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have to ask Jeff, you might not want to know the answer. But anyway, as always, we appreciate you. Hey, so listen, I'm doing this first dipper. I'm calling it COVID madness. First of all, and I'll be honest with you, I'm like the rest of y'all. Somebody says so-and-so's got COVID, and immediately in my mind, I hearken back to those moments in early 2020 when nobody knew what was going on, and you're like, "Holy crap!" What? And then you have this brief moment where you go, "Well, wait. Oh yeah, never mind." And so I'm not gonna minimize the fact that I'm not going to minimize the fact that I know that there were people that we lost because of COVID. I also know, though, that there was a great deal of government overreach during that COVID time. Civil liberties went by the wayside in so many places. Charlene and I were talking this morning about the fact that so many businesses are still to this day trying to recover. Even whole industries, the movie theater industry is still trying to find its way back. And you know, restaurants, and it's just ridiculous. And it's amazing how quickly we as a society became conditioned. And I know I've said it before, I've used this example several times, but I'm going to do it again. There's an amazing book called Escape from Camp 14. It's on our website. You can go to the recommended reading on Rightside Radio's website. And there's a book called Escape from Camp 14. It's written by a guy who defected. He escaped, actually, from a concentration camp in North Korea. And he was born in that concentration camp. He didn't like get imprisoned there after a period of time. He was born in that camp. He didn't know anything except what happened inside the wire of that camp. And as such, he was more conditioned even than the average North Korean. But reading his story and reading what it was like to see when a whole society does not even know what it means to have self-determination, does not even understand what it means to be able to make a decision, does not know that you have a right to make, have a question, that you can be actually killed for having a question. Reading his story just showed me what happens when a society gets beaten down. Well, look at how many things are we conditioned to now that 4 years ago we would not have accepted? How many things have we just kind of gone, oh, wow, it's COVID. I mean, like I said, can't do that. Can't. Now, first of all, is COVID on the rise? I don't know. They say there's a variant out there. For the first time the other day, I had a client come in to see me at the law firm, and they had to call in and say, hey, Phil, I'm so sorry, but I just tested positive for COVID. I have not heard that in a long time. But then I had a family member that had to go to a local clinic, and they said, whew, we have been covered up with COVID cases. We didn't expect to see that. So it's happening. It's out there. But they're also saying, oh, by the way, it's like a bad cold. We're not in 2020. We're not. So if you are one of those who still hasn't quite shaken it off yet, just do understand this. My understanding of where we are is that if there's a new variant, it's still nothing like the beginnings of the virus. That being said, let me show you something. Well, I can't show you, but I can tell you. It's on my phone. I can hold it up to the camera. Whoop, whoop. But I got a text yesterday from my son-in-law. He clipped this, cut and pasted it off of a website. It's now been confirmed. It's not that I didn't believe him, but you like to see these kind of things before you go on the radio. So Morris Brown College, Morris Brown, some of y'all may know of it. It's a small liberal arts college in Atlanta. Morris Brown College sent out a memo day before yesterday. Greetings, faculty, staff, and students. Effective immediately, Morris Brown College has reinstated its COVID-19 mask mandates due to reports of positive cases among students in the Atlanta University Center. Over the next 14 days, the following protocols will be in place. Are you ready for this? Mask wearing. All students and employees are required to wear face masks unless a staff person is alone in their office. Physical distancing. Students must remain physically distant. How does that work? Large gatherings. Institutional guidelines for gathering sizes must be followed. There will be no parties or large student events on campus for the next 2 weeks. Okay. Isolation and quarantine. Students must adhere to institutional policies and CDC guidelines for isolation and quarantine. Contact tracing. We're going to talk about that more in a minute. Contact tracing. Compliance with college-initiated contact tracing efforts is expected. Okay. Okay, let me finish the memo first. Symptom monitoring. Students and employees are obligated to undergo temperature checks upon campus arrival. What does that mean? You drive on campus, you walk to your classroom building in the August heat, and they take your temperature. That's going to go swimmingly. Regular hand washing, sanitation, frequent hand washing is expected from all students and employees. That is, Boomer, do you have a jackassery? Can I have a jackassery, please? Absolute jackassery. Absolute jackassery. The very idea. I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to do it for flu? Are they going to do it for, I don't know, bad sinuses? Are they going to do it for what? Sexually transmitted diseases? Where does this end? Contact tracing is expected.
It is
you will
not
have
going
your
to end.
Temperature taken.
I know
What'd you say, Boom?
I know you can't see me, but I'm going crazy over here.
Turn your camera on, dude. I want to see your smiling face as you just like wrap your brain around what I'm saying right now.
All right, so
there he is.
So yeah, it's not going to stop. Again, I think we've talked about this, I don't know, hundreds of times about they're going to take a giant leap, and then it's going to come back, and they're going to have that little bit of I don't know. I'm just going to. I can't believe that a university is already starting this stupidity again, and that they're going along with it.
I'd like to know who advised them.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, what was it? Was it one of their panicky staff members, or was it somebody at the state health department that said, "Hey, by the way, would you like to be the first? Please shut everything down. 14 days to flatten the curve." Whoop whoop.
I mean, what are the students thinking, and the parents of the students? That's what I would like to hear about right now.
I don't know, and I look at this and I think, daggum, man. I mean, it's like I said a moment ago, if they're going to take your temperature when you walk in off a hot August street, what do they think's going to happen?
Exactly.
I mean, I just walked from my truck to Dale's bunker here a little while ago, and I probably shot up to 103. I mean, it's.
I mean, I would have to change a shirt because I'd be sweating so much already. So,
yeah, okay, but yeah, and that's so Morris Brown College. If you got any friends at Morris Brown, you might want to check with them because apparently the pandemic is raging at Morris Brown College. 14 days to flatten the curve.
Wow.
So here in Alabama, let me tell you, there's a guy named Scott Harris. If you're not familiar with Scott Harris is the Alabama State Health Officer. Was he appointed by the governor? No. Is he accountable to the people? No. Does he have a job where he serves after being confirmed by the state Senate like other cabinet members? No. He just gets picked by the medical association. Yeah, we're one of the only states in the nation that has a state health officer with the authority to advise the governor and to issue proclamations that shut down businesses and tell you to wear a mask and keep your kids home from school, who has no accountability whatsoever. None. And you may remember his name during the pandemic. As proclamation after proclamation that was signed by Governor Ivey actually came from him. And there was a period of time there when I was with the Alabama Policy Institute that I was actually on the governor's coronavirus task force, and it was lame. I like to say there was zero tasking for the force. But we would get on phone calls and they would tell us, like we would get a heads up like 10 minutes. I'm not kidding. I would get an email 10 to 15 minutes before the governor made an announcement that the governor's about to make an announcement. And it was embargoed until we announce it. Okay. That does me. Why are you telling me then? I mean, you give me like a heads up. I got an email inbox item The governor's going to announce you got to wear masks in about 10 minutes. Well, I'm glad the task force had input. Thank you so much. But the state health officer, Scott Harris, among other things, helped put together contact tracing for colleges in the state of Alabama. He helped shut down businesses. He issued proclamations that had impacts on whole industries. He just got a pay raise. So, story here on 1819 News. State Health Officer Scott Harris, his new salary, you ready for this? Brace yourself. By the way, he's not picked by the governor. He's not confirmed by your Senate. He is not accountable to the people, but he's paid with tax dollars. He just got he's got a 7% pay raise. He now makes $328,000 a year. $328,000 a freaking year. On Thursday, the State Board of Health voted unanimously to raise Harris's salary by 7%. According to the Department of Finance data, Harris currently makes slightly over $307,000. His new raise will make it $328,680. By the way, that's twice what the governor makes. Twice what the governor makes. The governor of the state of Alabama actually gets a very modest salary by comparison to the level of responsibility, but the state health officer who has zero accountability, can't be voted out of office. He's making $328,680 starting next year. As state health officer, Harris oversees the state public health bureaucracy. There you go. Unlike other agency heads, he is hired and can only be fired by a board of physicians who are members of the Medical Association, which is, by the way, a dues-paying organization with lobbyists. During this year's legislative session, State Senator Sam Gavan of Huntsville had a bill that would have realigned how the state health officer does his job. That bill went nowhere, and we hope it's going to come back up next year. Keep in mind, too, Scott Harris, $328,000 of your tax dollars, in charge of everything related to COVID. He also recently attacked the idea that Alabama would have laws that prohibit sex change operations and hormone blockers for minors. Oh, okay. He also recently gave a speech about Medicaid expansion and said that not expanding Medicaid and creating more entitlements was a racist assumption. And that guy is your state health officer. When we get back from this break, I'm going to tell you about something that he helped put in place that to me is one of the creepiest things government's ever done in the midst of COVID madness. It's a way they can track your every movement and tell you when you're required to go home. We'll talk about it here in a minute. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. You guys stay tuned. We will be right back.
Hey, 8 a.m. 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 8 a
And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right, saving the world, one soundbite at a time. Hey, I'll jump on some text messages before I jump back to the topic. So we're in number one of the Triple Dipper. I'm calling it COVID Madness, talking about some things that have happened in and around COVID and what's happening now. Frank from Huntsville, he just texted in, said, in your text message from your son-in-law, that's the one about Morris Brown College, said, I heard 2 weeks like 5 or 6 times. And that's what Dr. Fauci was saying in the beginning in 2020. If we just quarantine for 2 weeks, that's it. 14 days to flatten the curve, baby. Yeah. 14 days to flatten the curve, 397 days later. Jeff from Athens, he said the movie theater industry needs to produce more features like Sound of Freedom. We saw it on the Tuesday. It premiered at Cineplanet 15 in Madison. After having to park in Campshaw, we got the last seats for the 7:15 showing. That's good news, man. And that's great. You're right. Some of it's what's at the theater. I would agree. There's not a lot of success right now with drawing people to a theater for woke crap. But we did see some say that the Top Gun Maverick saved the movie industry. I would not dispute that. JT Lacey Springs, he says North Brown staff and COVID equal turd biscuits. So it's Morris Brown. So Morris Brown staff
I like that
and COVID, I know, equals turd biscuits. And now we got to figure out if there's a sound effect to go with turd biscuits, because apparently we've lost a whole new vernacular for the show. Boom.
Right.
Oh my gosh. But at the very least, it's jackassery. We do know that. David from there you go. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. David from Athens says, remember during COVID, it seems all businesses were discouraging the use of cash, preparing us for the mark of the beast, he says. We were vacationing in Pensacola Beach when Hurricane Sally hit, knocked out all the power. Ask anybody down there how cashless worked for them. I would agree. Rayson from Milani says, I do not have the CCP deep state virus. Oh, he says, first he texted, I'm caregiving my parents who did test positive for COVID, staying home, watching TV, wearing a mask without fresh air and sunshine, guarantee getting the China virus. He said, I do not have the deep state virus. Good on you, Rayson, and take care, brother. TL from Huntsville says, you asked who advised this liberal arts college? Could it have been the Fulton County Elections Office? Good one, TL. Kyle from Sheffield says, Scott Harris, our state health officer, is another example of if greed is your advancement, the devil will write the check. Yeah, wow, there you go. And then John from Huntsville says, the worst thing about COVID is it took away most of my favorite buffets. Nice. So let me jump back in here. So one of the things that happened, and I'll never forget, I was on one of those task force conference calls listening to Scott Harris ask or tell us how excited he was about the new contact tracing app that his Department of Public Health in conjunction with UAB had put together. And I was the only person who asked questions. And of course, you can imagine some of the questions. Is this going to be mandatory? Is it mandatory? Oh, well, it's going to be necessary. Does it preserve privacy? How do you get around HIPAA laws? Because this is something that's getting into your medical status. And, no good answers. Didn't matter. So I've got a piece here that I pulled up, reaching back in the archives from August of 2020. I actually got this one off a local paper in Jackson County Sentinel. The Alabama Department of Public Health, in partnership with the University of Alabama, Birmingham, launched a mobile application to assist the state in contact tracing efforts of coronavirus. Notice it didn't say it was just because it was for a campus. It said to assist the state in contact tracing. That's a bigger deal. So it's not like what they're saying was, hey, this app, man, just use it for your employees at your business. It's very isolated. It's like WhatsApp, just little group communications. No. This app was put together by the Alabama Department of Public Health, led by Scott Harris, in conjunction with UAB, for the purpose of, quote, assisting the state in contact tracing efforts. Contact tracing, it says, is the process of tracking individuals that a person has come into contact with while infected with coronavirus but not showing symptoms. Here's the bottom line. You go to UAB. UAB makes you, as a student, download the app. You have the app on your phone. It now has access to you and where your location is. And then it has access to everybody else's location. And then if somebody determines that they are positive for COVID, they enter a little designator in their app, and it all of a sudden the app reaches back to find out every other app that app has been in close proximity to. And it registers and it sends out messages to everybody, and it tells you to go quarantine. This is spooky Big Brother stuff, in my opinion. All right, developed in conjunction with UAB and the Department of Public Health, it uses a phone's Bluetooth connection to exchange encrypted keys between devices when they are within a certain distance of each other. The data is sent to others who come in contact with your devices. It does not release personal information, they say. Oh, by the way, it was developed using tax dollars. $20 million. Wow. 20 million bucks of CARES Act money was used to help fund the development of the application. Out of 50 states, Alabama was one of only 2 that opted to create their own app. Interesting. But I thought Governor Ivey was a conservative. Just, you know. Anyway, I look at this and think, this is not good. And we're going to a break, but I'm going to come back and keep this going. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Contact tracing, not on my watch. We'll be right back.
You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. I'm talking about Phil Williams here in the Right Side Studios, not the Right Side Studios. I'm actually not. I'm actually ensconced in the Dale Jackson bunker right now. Stole the password, got in here, kicked the empty beer cans and dirty socks out of the way, and I'm sitting here on the microphone right now doing the show from Huntsville. Gonna have all of y'all out there, I hope tonight. A bunch of you people need to show up at Terry's Pizza. Terry's Pizza this evening, 6 p.m. Myself, Dale, now Mo Brooks subbing in for Yaffee. We're praying for Yaffee as his wife is in labor as we speak. So blessings on baby Yaffee and mom. But yeah, tonight, 6 p.m., Terry's Pizza, Bailey Cove Road. We're going to do a watch party for the GOP debate, and then we're going to have a panel between myself and Dale and Mo, and just talk through it and see what we see. But in the meantime, we still got local, state, national, all the issues, and covering down, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. So a minute ago, for the break, as a part of this COVID madness topic that I'm doing, I discussed the fact that our state health officer, who just got a pay raise to what did I say it was? It was ungodly. It was $328,000 a year, is the guy who was so excited because he helped oversee the development of a $20 million app. $20 million went into this thing. Boomer, I mean, maybe you know something I don't know. I realize that there's techno stuff that I'm not savvy with. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure $20 million could buy you a whole lot of appage. Would you say?
Yes, absolutely. $20 million, you could get a few things with that.
A tad.
Just a tad.
Must have had some serious bells and whistles. I'm pretty sure contact tracing on this app that cost $20 million, if you did not quarantine immediately like the app told you to, that missiles fell from the sky.
Either that or your phone turned into a cyborg robot and then picks you up and takes you home itself. I don't know, something like that.
Anyway, $20 million. Now here's the thing. I don't think I said this before I went on the air. My understanding was they were also selling this to other campuses around the nation. Other states were buying it. So I'm curious what the where the app went, and I need to dig into this and find out whatever happened to it. $20 million, so that they could tell you, oh, you appear to have been in close proximity to someone who has tested positive with COVID. You will now quarantine yourself and report directly, or you will not be allowed to back to class. That's what happens. You're not allowed back to class until you have self-reported and cleared the quarantine period. And then, oh, by the way, they can tell on the locator whether you went home or not. They can tell if wait, why are you out? Show us your papers. That's what this is. This is the modern equivalent of, you will show us your papers. All right, but listen, there is a new strain. All right, there's a new strain right now being seen. COVID-19 is being monitored as having a new strain, which is creating what they're calling an uptick in diagnosis. Story here on U.S. News. U.S. News, WHO. Oh, good. The World Health Organization. Wonderful. Awesome. The World Health Organization is monitoring a highly mutated new strain of COVID-19 now spotted in Michigan. It says a new COVID variant with very few known cases but many mutations has swiftly moved into the World Health Organization's variant under monitoring classification. CDC in the United States has said Thursday it's tracking the new variant. More data is needed to understand whether or not it could be dangerous. In other words, this is a story about a non-story. We don't know. Something's out there. We hear there is. We don't know how many details. More to come. News at 11. That's what we got. It's possible the variant has been. That was actually really good. I thought that was pretty funny, Boomer. Just to be honest with you.
I was laughing over here. I just forgot to turn my mic. There we go.
I was sitting here by my. You need to turn your headphones on so I know whether I'm resonating or not, or your camera. It's possible the variant has been spreading undetected for some time because there are reports of it in countries on 3 continents. Okay, so I don't know why I even printed that story out. I guess just to show you that when it comes to COVID, they'll report about anything. But here's one for you from MSNBC. Oh, Lord. Phil, did you go to MSNBC? Yes, I did. MSNBC medical contributor tells Americans to start wearing masks again after the uptick in COVID hospitalizations. Okay, let's be clear. This is a doctor on MSNBC. Point number one. Who says, Dr. Kavita Patel says, if you've noticed more of your friends, neighbors, loved ones are testing positive for COVID, you're not alone. According to the CDC, COVID-19 hospitalizations are up 12% from last week. And while we're nowhere near previous levels, it's still raising concerns. Okay. It says more than 7,100 patients, 7,100 patients were hospitalized in the latter part of July. That's up from 6,444 the prior week. What they don't tell you, first of all, is whether or not they had additional considerations or what we call comorbidities. And they also don't bother to point out that 7,100 out of 340 something million people is an infinitesimally small amount. But hey, it's COVID, so it's reportable. Even when you have nothing to say, you say it. And by the way, they're saying it's not that this has been very dangerous. It's been more like a heavy cold. There you have it. So let me start with some good news. We're not seeing anything near the dramatic rises we saw in previous summers or previous years. So what I think people need to do is they just need to keep people on alert when you're in crowded spaces. Think about the coughs and the colds. Sometimes people don't even have symptoms. What do you do with that? Now, sometimes people are around you and you don't even know they're sick. Okay. I don't know what to say to that, but okay. She said, here you go. A mask can be your friend. Keep it. Back in time, we had them in our office and our coats and our backpacks. Time to bring them out again, especially as fall season starts. We don't want to see kids missing school for things that we could have prevented. The point there, though, is we all know, and doctors will tell you, those masks do nothing. When you put that diaper on your face, it is doing nothing. If I can smell your nastiness through your clothes, you can tell that the masks are doing nothing. All right? So no. Next story, New York Post, confirming, though, to mask or not to mask. New York Post, fairly conservative in general. New York Post says, to mask or not to mask, that is the question facing many doctors and public health officials and concerned citizens worldwide as COVID cases once again tick upward. Again, very small percentage of our population, like infinitesimally small. Meanwhile, the Centers for Disease, I feel like I'm just minimizing, but what I'm really doing is telling you, don't check your brains at the door. As my monologue earlier, do not question. Do not be in the space within your head, your heart, your job, your school, your church. Do not be in that space like the people at Morris Brown College who have already shut things down and put masks on everybody. You will get your temperature taken when you walk into the school. What if I don't have COVID, but I just walked across a freaking hot summer sidewalk to get to class? That's not going to work. But hey, you know what? If it makes you feel better, like you're really doing something, well, sometimes doing something is not what needs to be done. Let me just bring this to a close here. I do appreciate the fact that we've got some things. Alabama took some steps, and I really so later this week, Senator Garland Gudger is going to be on the show with us. He'll be in studio, I believe, on Friday. State Senator Garland Gudger had a bill that was extremely important, and we call it now the Harold Sox and Ann Roberts Law. Now, I knew Harold Sox. He's a great guy. He worked with the state party for years. Beloved by many. His wife, Bonnie's a sweet lady. Ann Roberts is the wife of another friend of mine who still currently serves in the state Senate. Harold Sox and Ann Roberts passed away in the hospitals without their family sitting beside them because they weren't allowed to, because COVID was too scary, because you couldn't dare have somebody in there, when we all know, too, that the most important thing you need at that time is the comfort of your loved ones being near you. And, you know, Dan Roberts, bless his heart, he said he was only allowed to see his wife through a glass window. He said, I don't know what your love language is, but ours and our family is often touch. It's a hug. It's holding hands. It's being there. And all of us were denied that opportunity to be with our loved ones in their final days. We cannot go back to that sheepfold, y'all. We cannot. The story's on CBS 42 here in Alabama, and it celebrates the fact that Alabama, Garland Gudger, his bill was passed, and it allowed that families will never be isolated like that again. But we're not that way in other places. There are other parts of this country that are already having the freak out, that are already telling their college kids, you got to have your temperature taken, you got to wear a mask. I'm just telling you, folks, don't check your brains at the door. Don't allow yourself to be taken back to that place. We should never, ever again, with circumstances like what we had before, see our society shut down and lives ruined and people die alone because you're not allowed to be with them because of others who are just too scared to live. All right, folks, there's a bit of a rant, but that's it. COVID madness. Keep your eye on it. Be safe. I mean, I still keep hand sanitizer in my truck, and when I get gas, I rub some on my hands. It's not a bad habit to have anyway. But I'm not living small. I'm going to Terry's Pizza night, hanging out with people. And listen, we'll take it back here in 1 second. We'll have a break. We'll come right back. Next thing on the list, number 2 of the Triple Dipper, Magic Bus. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about some electric school buses on the Double Dutch bus. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Saving the world one soundbite at a time. Oh my gosh. The text messages, by the way, since some of those were related to the last segment, let me get those real quick. I'll see what I got over here. What we got? Robbie from Aliana says, it's all garbage. They're going to shut the country down so the Democrats can cheat with mail-in ballots. There you go. Marcus from Huntsville said, with regards to that app, said $20 million will buy you a South Birmingham college. Oh, that's Boomer. That's so right.
It is.
That's why we have such amazing listeners. $20 million is how much Birmingham
right?
Southern needed.
Yeah.
And they spent it on an app. Holy crap. You know what? Somebody's got to call either Yellowhammer or 1819 News or somebody. They've got to do a story on this app and see where it went and how that money was really used. That's just,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Boomer and I agree. All right. Badger from Athens says, breathing hot, moist air creates a bacteria-rich environment. Wouldn't be that bad. Okay. Thank you, Badger. Appreciate you. Leanne from Huntsville. Oh, the mask does do something. It holds germs onto your face. There's that. Alan from Arab says, but we still have an election year coming up. We need a new crisis, or at least another crisis of COVID. Jason from Jasper. Well, this might be a serious text. Let me see what he says. He says, I was not even allowed in the hospital when I dropped my mother off. I had to drop her off the door, and she looked so scared. And that was the last time I saw her alive. Oh, my gosh. So they told me to wait in the parking lot or go home. And they called me a few hours later saying they were rushing her to UAB in the middle of the night. Then they called my sister and me to let us know that she didn't make it. She passed away in her sleep. And honestly, her health didn't get terrible until after she got vaccinated and got the booster. Well, Jason, I am so sorry to hear that, man. Blessings on you and yours. And that's an awful story. I mean, the very idea that you had to drop her off and then never see her again, that cannot happen again. I mean, this is freaking America. That cannot happen. If we can put a man on the moon, then by God, your family can walk in the hospital and get to see you. Figure it out. Not that hard. Not that hard. Oh, but I guarantee you the freaking lawyers got it. Well, there's liabilities involved. Shut up. Crazy Joe from Decatur sent me a meme about Green New Deal magic buses, and I appreciate that. I'll be looking at that here in a minute. I'm still getting over that text from Jason from Jasper. John from Huntsville. Not sure you've talked about this or not, but apparently the same medical people who verbally attacked Joe Rogan and many others are saying that ivermectin was bad for people and now saying it's good to take ivermectin. I'll be honest with you. When I had it, I found a doctor who let me have some ivermectin. And guess what? I'm still here. Here's the thing. A good doctor does not allow his bosses to tell him what he's supposed to do. A good doctor practices medicine by doing what is right for the patient. That's the way it's supposed to work. It's like being a lawyer. A lawyer goes to court. You don't go to court and say, well, I can only argue that which my boss said I could. No, you research case precedent. You find the statutory means by which you can defend your client's interests, and you go in there with guns a-blazing, and you do everything it takes to win the day for your client. Same is true with practicing medicine. But so many of them right now are owned by the major hospitals and the associations, and it's just not good. Chip from Muscle Shoals, regarding masking, okay, you gave me numbers. I don't know what this means. Anyway, N95 mask, he says, like installing a chain link fence to keep out mosquitoes. There you go. I can understand that one. Thank you. Appreciate that, Chip. Listen, we're going to come back here in a minute. We're not quite there yet for the break, but we're close. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you the next dipper is really kind of maddening if you get down to it. It's okay. So if you're going to say we want to encourage you to use electric buses, okay, but we may not have the right time here because the infrastructure is not in place, because the technology is not complete, and because it's oh so freaking expensive. I tell you what, I have time for one caller. Let me do that. Boomer, I don't want to shortchange her, but let's go ahead and see if I can take that call right now. Line 3, Gina from Pell City. Hey, Gina, how you doing?
Hi, Phil. Great to talk to you. There was a law passed in 2021 called Poppy's Law, which was named after Harold Sox. His granddaughter got it passed, which allows every patient in a hospital to have one visitor a day. And then it was expanded this year to cover nursing home patients. And Representative, I think Dan Garrett got on board with that too, because his wife passed away with COVID. So just want everyone to know, if you have a patient in the hospital, you can go visit in the state of Alabama, and you can go to the nursing home.
Yeah, and Gina, by the way, thank you. I just covered that a minute ago. That's it was actually Dan Roberts. He's in the state Senate now,
Yes.
and that bill is actually expanded in the name of his wife, Ann Roberts, as well as Harold Sox, and Garland
Yes.
Gudger. Senator Gudger was the one who carried that. You are so right, Gina. Thank you very much for that. You're right, and let's make sure we don't ever let ourselves get polled that we can't go see our level. I'm going to tell you right now, if Charlene was in that position, I think they would have to go ahead and restrain me. I'd be looking for a lab coat to portray myself as a doctor and walk the halls of the hospital till I found her room. That's just the way I just, unbelievable what doctors and hospitals were allowed to get away with. Hospitals mostly, in that regard. All right, listen, music is on. I know I'm walking into a break right now. We're going to come back and switch gears, so y'all stay tuned because we're going to talk about Magic Bus, and it's a nut roll. We'll see it. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. I'm talking about covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state in the nation. That would be this one, Alabama. And I mean, this show, Rightside Radio, we send our signal way on down south of Birmingham and up north of Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, back to Gadsden, parts of Georgia and Tennessee and Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. All right, it's time for the next dipper in line. Today, I'm shifting to, well, I'm calling it the magic bus. Just saying.
Every day I get in the queue to get on the bus that takes me to you. I'm so nervous I just sit and smile.
That's nice. Boomer, did you do that? That was
Oh yeah, we had to get it ready.
got a little magic bus by the Who. Is it the Who, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. The Who's.
That's awesome. Magic bus. Okay. Hey, listen, here's the deal. In case you didn't know, the push for green energy, which, by the way, I'll be very clear. I'm for an all of the above energy policy. If it works best, make it a priority. If it doesn't work best, make it a second tier priority. All right. In other words, I don't mind if you want to have a windmill. Okay. I don't mind if you want solar panels on your roof. Great. Don't tell me we can't drill for oil. Do all of the above. It makes good sense. Why would you limit your options when you can begin to do them all and blow the world out of the water? I mean, at that point, we're literally, we have everything it takes in this country to be completely energy independent. The fact that we are not is a leadership issue. It's not an availability issue. It's not a technology issue. It's a leadership issue. And so, yeah, we could do all of the above. Now, that being said, I'm also a huge believer in the free market. If government has to prop up an industry for it to compete, then it is not truly a competitive industry. You know what I'm saying? If government is the one paying to give a private sector company a leg up on the competition, then ain't nobody building a better mousetrap, and the free market is really not free. Case in point, you'll be happy to know, I will start off with some good news, that George Soros just lost a whole lot of money. Story came out about 5 days ago. I got this one off of Daily Wire. The Soros firm lost up to $105 million on a now bankrupt green energy firm that was boosted by Biden. So this is a company, by the way, that made electric school buses. The company is called Proterra. So this story came out on August 16th. It says the investment firm run by liberal billionaire George Soros was a major investor in a now bankrupt electric bus company that had been heralded by the Biden administration as the future of green transit. And it lost as much as $105 million in the 2 years since the company went public. Soros Fund Management was one of the earliest investors in Proterra when the company went public in June of 21. And he had to begin offloading shares almost every quarter ever since. Lost $105 million, and Proterra has now filed for bankruptcy. The company received, are you ready for this? Significant support from the Biden administration, with the president taking a tour of one of Proterra's electric battery facilities in April of 21, declaring that companies like Proterra were going to help the United States to, quote, own the future. Well, not with Proterra, because they're bankrupt and no longer in existence. So, wow, once again, we have the fact that buses and other factors within green energy, the push, are literally being propped up by government. One more piece in that particular article. It says the company's collapse came as its buses failed to perform across the country. In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for example, $24 million worth of $24 million of Proterra buses were taken off the road after it was discovered their electric batteries did not provide enough power for the buses to complete their routes. The heavy batteries were also reportedly cracking the bus chassis. God almighty, leading to safety concerns. You think? Another one of Philadelphia's Proterra buses caught fire in November of 22. Fires have also occurred on the company's electric buses in Connecticut and California. Yeah, but Hey, they're going to help us own the future. It's awesome. It'll be great. We need to do this. How about, here's an idea. Let's give out grants so that you can, buy something you wouldn't be able to buy otherwise with tax dollars. Well, that was in Pennsylvania, right? Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Wait, one day before that, a story was run on Fox 43 in Pennsylvania. York, PA. 1.4 million Pennsylvania students will board school buses this year, most of them climbing onto diesel buses. And officials at Penn Environment say the diesel fleets are harming the earth and hurting students. Just one bus, oh Lord, can produce 23 tons of waste and harmful greenhouse gases. One nonprofit called the Moms Clean Air Force says diesel exhaust contains 40 known cancer-causing elements. I guess they've actually never ridden in the back of a deuce-and-a-half truck in the military. Some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Or stood in the prop wash of a C-130 while you hot-load paratroopers. Just, it's okay. The Environmental Protection Agency's Clean School Bus program is offering school districts and bus contractors across the country the chance to turn their fleets electric. Pray tell, how would they do that? With tax dollars. The federal grant and rebate program will award $5 billion. $5 billion, billion with a B, dollars over the next 5 years, enough to replace more than 13,500 buses from the model year 2010 and older. Pennsylvania schools, that's the same state where they were having the buses break down. Yeah. Pennsylvania schools, wow, where'd it go? Pennsylvania schools received 22 electric buses in the last round of funding. Some Harrisburg, PA students will soon be riding them, but there are some barriers to using the technology. And then this one guy who's the executive director of the State School Bus Association, because everything has an association, including school buses, says we have to factor in the infrastructure cost for charging. Yeah, think? Says an AC charging unit, it can cost up to $5,000 to $10,000. And then, we got to charge multiple at times, so we need the bigger units that cost $25,000 to $30,000. Really? Here's the kicker. Priority school districts can receive up to $395,000 per bus. $395,000 per bus, helping to cover the cost of the necessary charging stations and batteries. Each new electric bus can cost 3 to 4 times more than a diesel bus. And he goes on to actually admit, without having that grant funding, most districts and contractors are not going to be prepared, and they're not going to be able to carry the weight of that burden or that financial burden. So King said electric buses will hopefully pay for themselves over time. Did you, the madness of this, the absolute madness of this. Hey, here's a thing that doesn't work as good. It's going to be harder to maintain. It might not even drive as far as you need, and you can't afford it. So we're going to give you tax dollars so you can buy some so that we can say we did a push for green energy. Everybody good? All on board? Okay, here's the money, buy the bus. But the bus broke down. Don't talk about it. Just buy a bus. If it breaks down, we'll buy you another one. That's what we're looking at here. That is classic government. And you know what's happening right now? I guarantee you there are companies that are startups with no great history who are like, dude, man, there's a lot of money in buses. Let's build a bus. We'll put batteries in it. How's that going to work? I don't know, but there's a lot of money. And if we apply for a grant, maybe we'll get it. Cool. How about this? You look at that article, Pennsylvania, bad experience. Pennsylvania getting more money for more bad experiences. How about this? Story on the Washington Examiner from May 29th of this year. One Michigan school official admitted that his district's move to using electric buses was less than the government had touted it to be. Really? Says Emil Lozana, the environmental sustainability director of Michigan's fourth largest school district. They got a job. First of all, they got a dude who works full time in a school district whose title is environmental sustainability director. All right. Problem number one. Ann Arbor Public Schools Board of Education said the district's electric school bus fleet has a lot of downtime and performance issues. He said it's been a tough 2.5 years with this program. We've been learning a lot about the technology. Electric buses are approximately 5 times more expensive than regular buses, and the electrical infrastructure, which was originally estimated to be only about $50,000, give or take, for those 4 buses, ended up being more like $200,000. Ann Arbor Public Schools reportedly purchased its electric buses with a state grant that came off of a major legal settlement. Last year, the Biden administration announced another $17 million in grants to fund zero-emission electric school buses. And despite the bus's frustrating performance, Ann Arbor Public Schools remains committed to using the electric buses as incentives become available. In other words, if there's money, we're going to do it. Conservative group Michigan Freedom Fund blasted the school district's commitment, saying, Michigan Democrats have put the electric cart before the horse. I love that line, by the way. They put the electric cart before the horse. That's what's happening right now. We're taking a break right now. We get back, though, I'm going to tell you more about magic buses and the fact that they are actually here in Alabama. Did you know that? There are school districts in Alabama that are buying what I just described for you, but they're not buying them really. They're using your tax dollars being handed down to push an agenda to buy something that doesn't do as much as they say it'll do. All right, we're taking a break right now. We'll come right back. Don't forget, by the way, top of the hour, Grand Council with Jeff Poore and Dale Jackson. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Hey, by the way, a little bit of breaking news. You may have already seen it. I will just kind of step aside from the Dipper for the moment and say, apparently, he did not get away with it. It looks like Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of the Russian Wagner group, was taken out today by Putin. And I don't mean like a little bit, like he was in a plane and a Russian missile shot his plane down. And so Yevgeny Prigozhin, he was a beast. He was an awful individual. He works for an awful individual, Vladimir Putin. Anyway, does not pay to cross Putin. He's got missiles. You don't. All right, back to the Dipper. Magic Bus. Hey, Boomer, you got that sound effect? Can you play it one more time? I mean, I think it's worth it. I think it is.
Every day I get in the queue to get on the bus that takes me to you.
Nice.
I'm so nervous I just sit and smile.
Nice. Well, that's what we got. I mean, I look at this. I named this Dipper euphemistically because that's where we are, y'all. It's a magic bus. It's electric. Awesome. By the way, I do not mind if an electric bus works, use it. If it doesn't work, if it has a history of maintenance problems, if it costs 5 times what a diesel bus costs, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. If somebody wants to prove that a diesel bus will harm students, then I guarantee darn freaking to you, we're going to be able to show you a whole bunch of us that rode these school buses growing up, and we're all fine. And nobody has any breathing conditions, and nobody, has any debilitating lung illnesses because you rode in a bus. I mean, how many times did I ride to school, or for that matter, ride to a football game or something in a bus, ride in the back of a deuce-and-a-half truck in the Army, I'm saying, how many times did I go on as a youth pastor, go on a ski trip and you're unloading your skis from the bottom of the bus while the bus is sitting there idling? It's that, by the way, that's what I will tell you right now, the smell of diesel burning evokes memories, and that's one of them. But electric buses are magic, man. Don't you know? They can appear in your motor pool and you'll have them. How does that happen? Because the government gives you money. Where does the money come from? Don't ask questions. Just take it. Okay, but the bus doesn't work. They'll send more money. Awesome. But I thought we got to have the charging bases. How do we get those? They'll pay for that too. Awesome. Well, is the charging station strong enough? No, but don't worry. Get it plugged in and then tell them you need more and they'll send you another one. Cool. And then next thing you know, kids are getting on these nice quiet buses that don't have diesel fumes and they're making it halfway to school. Albertville City Schools, according to Business Alabama, in late December of last year, Albertville City Schools, it says, will receive $7.5 million. This is Albertville, Alabama, by the way, up on Sand Mountain, over there near Boaz, just above the hill from Gunnersville. Albertville City Schools will receive $7.5 million toward the purchase of 19 electric school buses. I don't want to do the math, but they're expensive. The purchases will be covered through a rebate program of the Environmental Protection Agency. Awesome. So the EPA is now buying school buses. I didn't know the EPA's job was to buy school buses. I thought the EPA's job was, manage the environment, not to buy stuff. The 19 electric school buses will replace older diesel-modeled buses in the fleet, with buses manufactured in 2010 or before being scrapped and buses manufactured in 2011 being sold. The school system will be able to keep the money generated from the buses sold and will also benefit from lower maintenance costs. Well, we just saw how the lower maintenance cost thing works out. Not that great. The bipartisan infrastructure law of 2021 authorizes the EPA to offer these rebates, and it goes into the billions, y'all, into the billions with a B. I got a caller on line 3. Let me jump over there and grab that before I'm out of time. Brian from Huntsville. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Doing okay. And Yeah, I'm with you with the nostalgia on diesel. If you ever been in a road march with tanks and Bradleys and such, so
Absolutely. And I've actually been
Yeah,
I've actually been behind Abrams when they're cranking up, and it'll actually scorch the skin right off your face.
yep. But in any case, to get back to the point and everything, all these lithium-ion batteries. Have you seen some videos of some of the fires on scooters, on Teslas? And what happens if you got a bus full of school children and that goes off?
Yeah, you're exactly right,
Sorry.
man. It's
Have a good
nuts.
one. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you. Yeah, and listen, there's other texts here that are agreeing. Mike from Athens just said, awesome, lower maintenance, actually making a bus route. He said, I'd rather my kids smell a little diesel than be sitting on a lithium bomb, to Brian's point. Or how about this? John from Huntsville. Huntsville, I don't know what he's saying, but John from Huntsville, I guess, has reacted to the fact that I've got Dale Jackson coming on my show here in a little bit. Calls it, let's have a Dale Jackson day. John from Madison. I love the smell from the back of a deuce and a half. Yes. Thank you very much. Like I said, it evokes memories. John C. from Madison. Thank you for your service, by the way. Marcus from Huntsville. I'm not going to lie. My face felt that prop wash coming. So Marcus, apparently I evoked a memory. Yes. You stand in the back of a C-130 and hot load paratroopers and oh, by the way, that prop wash, you'll feel it. You'll smell it. Some of y'all have memories right now. We got a brand new texter in the line, Dale from Arab. Dale from Arab. He says you can look at the side of disposable masks before the pandemic, and they would say on the side of the box, not effective against viruses. Yeah, but hey, you could put a cloth diaper that was made by your grandma on your face, and it was all good then. And in fact, that now that we got me back on that topic, how about the fact that if you got on a plane, you had to have a cloth mask on, and while you sat there, if you wanted to eat, you could take the mask off and eat as long as you put the mask back on when you're done, because apparently you're not contagious when you ate. The whole thing was jacked up. It was ate up like a soup sandwich, man. Just something else. All right, well, listen, we're about to take a break. When we come right back, it's the Grand Council with my brethren, Jeff Poor and Dale Jackson. You guys stay tuned. Grand Council coming up next. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We will be right back.
listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. They got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, I am actually not in the studio today. I am safely ensconced in the Dale Jackson bunker after I kicked away all the dirty socks and the empty beer cans. But
they weren't empty when you got here.
Yeah. That's a rumor, and I refuse to acknowledge you. All right, but we are going to acknowledge you in a minute because it's that time. We got this thing we do once a week called the Grand Council with my brethren Dale Jackson and our buddy Jeff Poor. And so let me just go ahead and call the roll. The guy that I know is right here is sitting here in front of me today, Dale Jackson. 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN out of Huntsville. Also writes for Yellowhammer News. Hey, man, how you?
Oh,
Yep, stand at ease. And then our brethren, Jeff Poor, host of the Jeff Poor Show down yonder in Mobile on FM Talk 106.5, also the editor-in-chief for 1819 News. Jeff Poor, are you here?
I am present.
You are indeed present, and I'm glad of it. All right, Boomer, I pronounce a quorum. Hit it.
Assemble the Grand Council.
All right, we're done. I'm just going to go ahead and say thank you to my host, Dale Jackson, for letting me sit on your broken stool over here for 3 hours and give you the first question. What you got?
are we going to do the thing that we know didn't work? Yeah, I know you were talking about it before. Are we going to really do the mask thing? Are we really back at this? Nobody thinks the masks work. Everyone knows they don't. We've learned the lesson. At this point, we're just being dumb and showing everyone that the whole mask thing was fake. Who's going to be the first person in Alabama, the first school system in Alabama to say, okay, we're going back to masks? Who's that going to be?
I'm going to put it somewhere in Jefferson County, but I don't know if you heard the first hour of my show was all dedicated to that very thing. And Morris Brown College, Morris Brown College in Georgia, in Atlanta, has already put masking, contact tracing, and mandatory temperature taking on their students in the middle of August. So you're going to walk across a hot parking lot into the building and get your temperature taken.
Do you know how many cases they have right now?
Probably 12.
Zero. They have zero. They have 0 cases. That's happening with 0 cases.
I have no doubt. Jeff, weigh in. What are you thinking about all that?
It's like superstition, right? That's all I could gather is that there's some kind of superstitious belief that it will keep the COVID away. You don't need to understand the science or any of that. Always defer to authority figures. Always defer to authorities. Just do what they tell you, and you won't die of COVID. It's just a fear, I guess. But for some, it's probably a virtue signal thing. But I think there's a real, whether it's rational or not is another question, but I do think there's a real fear out there of this.
Well, they ingrained it. You know, I gave the example earlier in the show too about North Korea, a book that I've got on my favorites list, Escape from Camp 14. It talked about a guy who grew up in North Korea, finally escaped, and what a beaten down society they are because they've been conditioned over and over and over to what happens if you disobey the dear leader. Well, it didn't take long for the United States to become conditioned in some ways, and I think we're seeing that right now. So anything else on your question, Dale?
Well, I will just say this. This week on my show, I absolved everyone that was wrong about masks at the very beginning. You the first 3 months, if you were wrong about masks, I now absolve you. As long as you own it, I now absolve you. Everything from that point on until now, if you haven't owned it, I no longer absolve you. You will be found guilty when I run the tribunal.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll be there to be your bailiff when you wield the gavel.
Thank you, sir. Take them away my deuce and a half.
All right. Yeah. Jeff, next question. What do you got?
What happened to Prigozhin today? I don't know the answer to this, but I'd like to hear some theories.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what happened. He bucked the dictator. You don't face down Putin in public and think that's going to be okay. And so not only did he get shot down, He got shot down over Russian airspace using a Russian missile, is what the reports are saying right now. So, any thoughts that Prigozhin had somehow made up, or maybe that he? Yeah, I will say this: the fact that it took this long is surprising. I'm not going to be a bit surprised to find out that he didn't have special files tucked away somewhere on Putin. And I mean that seriously. I bet he had knowledge that Putin was a little worried about getting out, and Putin had to tighten some things up first and then take him out. And that's what I think happened. Dale,
I think he fell out a window.
well,
that's what happens in Russia when you go go bad. So I think he fell out a window at a very high height. I think that's what happened to him.
I'm saying if you're in Putin's inner circle, you better have a soup tester and all the windows nailed shut. That's the way it tends to work over there. What you got? Any other thoughts on this, Jeff? You've been watching the news cycle that I haven't seen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, does this just go away? Is the threat over? Is there no threat? I mean, this seems like this would incite whatever loyalist he had to go to Moscow or something. This is a touchy situation. Maybe Putin's taking all the right necessary measures. We'll see. But I guess
it's a touchy situation.
It doesn't. It just seem though like way too predictable.
Oh yeah, but I predicted it back when Prigozhin was rolling his Wagner tanks towards Moscow. I mean, first of all, I was shocked that he did it. It was a little brassy. I thought that was beyond the pale, but daggum, man. I mean, what do you think's going to happen? And then the fact that he backed away and goes, "Oh, it's okay. We meant nothing against Mother Russia." Well, apparently the missile thought you did.
Well,
so
I mean,
just
going forward, is there any danger for the Putin regime? Does anything come of this?
No, in fact, what I think is going to wind up happening is you're going to wind up seeing, and this is a cultural thing. I think the strongman image. That's why Putin rides around bareback on a horse and takes pictures of himself. I think the strongman image is still being provided here, and a lot of the Wagner mercenaries have already been conscripted into the Russian army, or will be conscripted in the Russian army. And there's one leader. I was listening to General Kellogg before I came on the air. There's one leader among Wagner that was openly not in favor of the actions that Prigozhin took, and he's probably going to wind up having a few general stars tacked on his shoulder. There you have it.
Oh, there you have it. Yeah.
All right. Hey, let me ask you this. I've got a story that I want 1819 to run with, and I would rarely ever do this, but this is a good one. So Scott Harris, you guys reported that Scott Harris just got a major pay bump, and he's now $328,000 a year as a state official without accountability or confirmation. That being said, he helped put together a contact tracing app, and they apparently used, according to reports that I had for the show today, $20 million of CARES Act money UAB and the Department of Public Health used to develop a contact tracing app to be able to scream at you when you were in close proximity to somebody with COVID and tell you to go to your dorm room. And then they sold it to other universities around the nation. I'd like to know whatever happened with that and why the frick it cost $20 million to create that app. I mean, $20 million is how much it would have taken to save Birmingham Southern, the entire campus. $20 million of tax dollars to build an app. Jeff, you want to run a story on that?
If we could find something out, actually, yeah. But a way to put me on the spot here on the air.
Do it, Jeff. Do it. It's what are you afraid of, Jeff?
It's peer pressure. Do it. You'll be cool. Everybody does.
Hey, man, you want to write the story? No, Phil, we can't do that.
No, I realize I'm hammering you, but so bottom line is I just feel like this is first of all, it was egregious. It was big government. It was an app designed to monitor your movements. And by the way, the reports say that it was not for UAB's purposes. It was to provide information to the state about your movements. And then, oh, by the way, it cost $20 million of CARES Act money just to build the app. And then they got to sell it and make money with other colleges. So, Dale, your thoughts?
Yeah, it seems pretty bad. I mean, let's just be real about it. That is something that they're doing. They should not be in that business. But if they are, I think we should find out exactly why it does cost $20 million to make such an app. I just can't understand that it would require that kind of layout of cash.
If I was made editor-in-chief for a day, I would have the story done, just so you know. Just so you know.
These stories don't grow on trees. I mean, like, what am I going to call UAB? Hey, give me the dirt on this app you made. And they're going to be like, oh, sure, 1819 News. We love you guys. Here you go. And then we can put the story up on the site. It's really easy. It really works that way.
Just give me a third of the money that came off that app, and we'll go ahead and get that story written. All right.
Let me
Hey,
get on
listen,
that one too. Then $20 million. So here's a third of here's $6 million and some change here.
All right, fellas, that's round one, Grand Council. That goes way too fast. We're with Jeff Poor, FM Talk 106.5 and 1819 News, Dale Jackson from WVNN up in Huntsville, also with Yellowhammer News and Little Old Me. Y'all stay tuned. We'll come right back. Round two, Grand Council. We'll see you in a moment. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right, making common sense like a superpower. All right, we're back with the Grand Council. My brethren, Jeff Poore from 1819 News and then FM Talk 106.5 in Mobile, and Dale Jackson, who writes for Yellowhammer and also with WVNN up here in Huntsville area. By the way, keep in mind, tonight there is an event, and Dale and myself and now the illustrious Mo Brooks will be hosting a panel at Terry's Pizza doing a watch party on the GOP debate. So that being said, let me jump back to questions. Dale Jackson, you are first.
Does Jeff Moore think he's better than us? Like, you and I get together and we're hanging out at my house. You know, we're kicking back. You're drinking all the beers out of my mini fridge.
I am.
And then we're going to Terry's Pizza and we're going to have a good time.
It's cool.
Off Bailey Cove. It's going to be a lot of fun starting at 6.
It's where the cool kids hang out.
And Jeff Moore's like, screw you guys. I'm not coming.
Jeff Poore, you're missing it, brother.
My
The
actual
answer is
question,
yes. Yes, I do think I'm better than you. And, that's,
you walked right into
easy
that
one
one,
right
just so you know.
I know, but nobody believes that, so it's okay. So here's my actual question. Will there be a bloody nose tonight at this debate? Will somebody bloody somebody else up? I mean, obviously, the only two I think you can actually hurt that it has any oomph to would be DeSantis or Ramaswamy. The others are just kind of maybe Tim Scott, but the rest of them are just there to make noise. That's my takeaway. Will there be a bloody nose tonight?
Well, I guess first of all, remind me, is Chris Christie on the stage?
He is.
He did make the stage, yeah. He's going to be off to the side, but
he takes up a lot of room. So
what's he going to do without Trump? He's got. So you have to beat up on somebody. He's the angry man on the stage.
He's made it clear he's going after DeSantis.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
Yeah, he's made
everybody's going after DeSantis. Is the guy. If anybody walks away with either blood scars or, for that matter, like a complete ninja defense and the ability to fend off lots of blows, it's going to be DeSantis because everybody's coming after his points. But no, I think there will be some barbs traded. This is the with Trump not on the stage, it actually benefits the rest of the pool, I think, because they have the opportunity now to not deal with the elephant in the room as much and try to deal with each other and become the next person in line. Ramaswamy has got to set himself out from DeSantis. And right now, they're depending on what poll you're looking at, they're running 2 and 3, 3 and 2. So I think Ramaswamy is going to try to be the guy who can show why he as a corporate guy is better than, government guy DeSantis. That's my thoughts. Jeff?
5 minutes into this thing, we'll all be bored. It won't matter. It doesn't matter. We're trying to make it seem like it's important. I guess it's the first debate, and no one knows who any of these people are. I mean, aside from something just extremely out of the ordinary, this time tomorrow, we will have forgotten about this debate. It's always that way. Will somebody get bloodied? I don't know. They got to really screw up like Rick Perry. If DeSantis goes out there and he forgets what the Department of Education is, and maybe.
Your own question, Dale. What are you thinking?
Well, I saw something today that said 60% of people have changed their minds after a primary debate, when only 14% have after a general election debate. So I think it matters a little more than
you
Jeff,
don't believe that, do you?
Hey, Jeff, I'm just saying, if I'm at Terry's Pizza tonight watching the debate,
Dale, no, Dale, nobody,
and everyone
where
else,
did you get
I
that?
think I'm going to be paying close attention. I think it matters.
What crackerjack box did you get that survey out on? Tell me, when was the last time you changed
I think it read it
your
on
mind?
1819 News.
When was the last time you changed your mind from a primary debate?
Tell me what I read it, Jeff.
When was the last time? I'm asking you. When was the last time?
Hold on. The greatest primary debate moment, though, or was it primary or general? It may have been general. Now to say that was Ronald Reagan saying, "I will not let my opponent's youth and inexperience become a factor." That was a debate matter and moment, and it was good. I think, by the way, one of the reasons why, I think the election was rigged. I think there were a lot of things that were wrong with it, but I think Trump hurt himself in the debate with Biden because he came across as being angry and uncontrollable.
Well, those are Senator. Those are presidential debates. They're on all the channels, all the networks cover them.
You're saying
primary
debates
debate
don't matter
on Fox News. That
you're talking about primaries only. Okay.
I mean, when does a primary debate has it ever mattered?
When does it not matter? Why do they keep repeating them if they don't matter? What would be the point of not having a primary debate if it didn't matter?
And they sell ads. When has a primary debate? Because that was Dale's assertion that a small percentage change their minds during a general election debate, but a much bigger percentage change it during a primary debate. Tell me when that's ever
No,
happened.
I think right now, but see, I'm going to be honest with you. I agree with Dale on this. There are people right now looking for their number two because they're already not on Trump's train. There are people who are not voting Trump, and they're stuck in the middle of this pack, and they like Tim Scott, and they wish Ramaswamy had some experience, and then they also really love the fact that DeSantis, kicked Disney in the teeth, and they wish they had somebody who was all three rolled into one. And they're going to watch this debate and try to make a decision as to who's their number two because they already know they're not voting for Trump. Those people are out there, and I believe this debate is going to answer a few of those questions. For people who care, I think it really matters.
This is for people that go watch practice in Tuscaloosa and think they're going to have a say in who's going to be the quarterback. It just will not, like I said, this time tomorrow we will have forgotten about it.
Jeff should write a story in 1819 News about that poll and how it doesn't matter.
That's what's going to happen. I feel certain he's going to quote you in it too, just so you know.
Just some
all right, Jeff,
Jackson
ask a question.
found.
We're almost out of time. What do you got? What's your question before you gripe anymore? What's your question?
Real quick, Stephen Reed last night. I didn't think it was definitely a commanding win, but I don't feel like it was impressive enough to make him congressional. Did anybody were you even paying attention to it? But what do you think of Stephen Reed this morning?
Well, I think he's the mayor. I think he has the backstop of his dad's political, power in the Democrat Party, such as that is now. But then at the same time, nobody outside of Montgomery knows who Stephen Reed is, and so running for a congressional seat across multiple counties in a new district that's been freshly realigned, I'll say this: he's probably a top three candidate, depending on who else gets in the race. But I really don't think he has name ID for anything much, and we'll see how it goes. Dale?
If not him down there, who? I mean, that's really the question.
Mm-hmm.
And it would also make a lot of sense to run someone like him with the machine behind him, because keep this in mind. If he does run and there's a new district and it's 42 or whatever, 46, 47% black, the media is going to be all over that thing as a potential pickup. And he's good on TV. So I think he's a player in this.
All right, well, fellas, listen, I didn't get to my last question. The music is on, but I appreciate both of you. That's Dale Jackson, 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN, writes for Yellowhammer News, and Jeff Poor, FM Talk 106.5 in Mobile, editor-in-chief, 1819 News. Love you both. Appreciate you. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio, solid conservative and just plain right, covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state, the most beautiful. The one I'm talking about is Alabama, the most beautiful state in the nation. And I'm talking about this show sends its signal like way down south of Birmingham, up north of Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, back to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, and even Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. Hey, I'll tell you somebody else that covers a lot of ground, by the way, and I mean this with all sincerity. Southern Immediate Care. Southern Immediate Care, a chain of clinics that cover much of North Alabama. I mean, they got locations in places like Gadsden, Anniston, Attala, 5 locations in and around the Birmingham area. 2 newest ones they've got are in Hoover and Chelsea. And folks, Southern Immediate Care, by the way, this is who I use. That's who I go to in the Gadsden area. Southern Immediate Care, 7 days a week, y'all. 7 days a week. Great staff, clean facilities, and they'll take all comers, all right? You don't have to have an appointment. If you need to go there, you go there. Look them up on the website, find the nearest location to you. Southern Immediate Care. They will see all ages. I'm talking from pediatric to geriatric. Just go on in. They will treat you right. And I just appreciate the fact that I know them personally, the guy who owns this chain, and they are wonderful sponsors for the show. They are also wonderful medical folks for taking care of your needs. Southern Immediate Care. Check them out. Tell them you heard about it on Right Side Radio too, by the way. All right, I gotta go to some text messages because the text messages went kaboom. So let me scroll down. Trina from Elkbront. Brian just mentioned what I was thinking about the bus catching fire with a bunch of children in it. So Brian from Huntsville called in earlier during my magic bus segment and said, these lithium batteries, they can be a fire hazard. Yeah, well, Trina, I get it. You're right. Mike from Athens, regarding those buses, what powers the charging stations? Oh, wait, gas, diesel, coal, and nuclear power plants. Now you're putting extra stress on them. Yes, indeed. Glenn from Bluntsville, my breathing problems come from toxic burn pits in third world countries, not from the school bus or Papa's diesel tractor. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your breathing problems. And yes, the burn pits are an issue. But you're right. Our school buses did not cause it. What do we got here? I got a something from somebody is who did this come from? I'm losing my train of thought. Joe from Elkmont just sent me an image of Dale Jackson's post. Yeah, they're talking about masks and how masks don't work. Yeah, you're right. Thank you very much. And Department of Public Health putting it out that, masks are effective. No, they're really, really not. John from Huntsville, who's going to eat more pizza tonight? Phil or Dale? Probably Dale. I had a big lunch. I did a meat and 3. I'm a light lunch eater. Not today, man. Not today. I was at Walton's on Whitesburg and I had me some country fried steak with gravy, fried okra, pintos, hash brown casserole. It's amazing I made it through the show without falling asleep. Charlie from Huntsville, Charlie from Huntsville just sent me a pseudo Dr. Seuss. Says, I will not wear it on my face. I will not wear it any place. I will not wear it to get in. I will not wear it on my chin. I will not wear it on my ear. I will not wear it out of fear. I will not wear your stupid mask. I will not wear it. Do not ask. Boomer, did you hear that?
Yes.
I don't know how, Boomer, if you can find a way to grab that off of this, that Charlie from Huntsville that sent that to us. That is like, I'm going to read it again. That was so good. That was amazing. I will not wear it on my face. I will not wear it any place. I will not wear it to get in. I will not wear it on my chin. I will not wear it on my ear. I will not wear it out of fear. I will not wear your stupid mask. I will not wear it. Do not ask. It's awesome. By the way, I think there's going to be a lot of people that say, if you want our patronage, brick and mortar store, movie theater, whoever, then you won't put a mask mandate in place. Otherwise, you know what? We'll just go order on Amazon and have it delivered to the house. That's what's going to happen. Lee from Huntsville just said Trump's first primary was defining. Okay. Lee is pushing back on Jeff Poor's. You know what? As a matter of fact, you are correct. His primary, he came out of nowhere and blew some people out of the water. And that's a great point, Lee. Tony from Piedmont. I don't know what you mean, Tony. The Alabama gang versus Cale Yarborough. Why are you texting me that, Tony? I take it back. I got it. He's working. Okay. Tony, I have trouble following your train of thought sometimes, my brother, but I still like your text. And then Jenny from Decatur just sent me something. What did she say? Oh, yes. So this goes straight to my point. I almost asked my question. Jenny sent me a postcard, greetings from Hawaii, and it has Joe Biden sitting in a chair smoking a cigar. And it says, I know how you feel, folks. I almost lost my Corvette and my kitten when my house almost caught on fire. Here's the question I was going to ask and ran out of time on Grand Council. Who is advising President Biden? Who is telling him it's a great idea? By the way, I didn't know till this morning, his vacation in Lake Tahoe is not over. I thought he flew there and had a couple of days vacation before going to see the folks in Hawaii. No. He has gone back to Lake Tahoe. It's a 9-day vacation at Lake Tahoe.
Wait,
Yes.
so it was before and after.
Before and after. And by the way, I also didn't know he only spent 5 hours on the ground in Hawaii.
Oh, sorry, people of Hawaii. I got to
Yeah.
get back to my vacation.
Yeah, you're inconveniencing my time off. But by the way, he was on vacation when the fires happened. He's on vacation again 2 weeks later when he went to finally visit him. He only stayed for 5 hours. He's staying in a billionaire's retreat in Lake Tahoe. 9 days. Do you know he has actually vacationed something in the neighborhood? When this vacation's over, it'll be something in the neighborhood of almost 380 days of his presidency have been out of the White House on vacation at the beach or something like that.
Well, that shows a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, right there.
Yeah,
Wow.
it really does. All right, hey, listen, I was going to do this dipper. Am I going to do it right now? I think I still will. I got to cover something. So yesterday you heard the interview with Katie Britt, and we talked about the fact that, and she announced it. It was breaking news. I don't know if Yellowhammer or 1819 picked it up, but the news broke. Katie Britt saying she will not be voting for President Biden's supplemental request on the $40 billion he's asked for in new spending. Pray tell, what was that new spending for? $24 billion for Ukraine, $12 billion for the disaster relief fund, which is almost depleted because of the number of disasters that have happened on Joe Biden's watch. I sound like I'm blaming him. Maybe I am. And then only $4 billion for the southern border. Of that $4 billion, though, none of it goes to stopping the issues. It all goes to things like providing housing and services and transportation costs for people who come across our border illegally. In other words, how do we take care of them? How about this? Stop them. Remember I made the analogy yesterday that what we're looking at here is as if you have a gushing leak under your kitchen sink and all you do is buy more mops. That's what we're looking at. How about this? Stop the leak. The same is true of our southern border. Stop the freaking leak. All right. How about this? We're seeing things happening all over the nation right now. This is my third dipper, mass migration. We're not just in illegal immigrants coming across our border. We're in what history would call a mass migration, a complete shift of population bases. If you look back at what historically caused the downfall of Rome, they have historians have a series of things that they go through that talk about what actually caused Rome's demise, the Roman Empire. One of them was a loss of control of their borders. They got to the point they could no longer sustain their own borders, and there was a mass migration of Gauls, and I believe the Germanic tribes began to shift their patterns and come into spaces controlled by the empire, basically because they felt like it. And Rome didn't have any means to stop them and can no longer sustain their own operations in those areas. So what we're looking at right now is a situation where we have mass migration, not just illegal immigrants. We have mass shifts of people. The United States, y'all, and I said it to Senator Britt yesterday, the United States has grown by over 2% in its population just on illegals since Biden took office. Let that sink in. We have added percentages, plural, to the United States population base on illegals just since Biden took office. Meanwhile, you got things like this. Story from Daily Wire. SUNY Buffalo, that's State University of New York, SUNY Buffalo, that's the Buffalo campus. So SUNY Buffalo boots illegal immigrants from dorms after parents expressed concerns about recent sexual assaults. I just think that we could do a whole dipper on that title. SUNY Buffalo, this is called a college campus. College campus boots illegal immigrants from dorms after parents express concerns about recent sexual assaults. Let me break this down. First of all, why is a college campus housing illegals in their dorms? Why? Why is that happening? Oh, it's to pay for taxpayers, and we got to take care of them. We got to provide them a place. Do we? Do we really? We have to give them the dorms on a state-funded college university's campus that tuition-paying students want to be able to live in. And oh, by the way, what you're telling me here is some of the students were living in the dorms experienced sexual assaults by illegals who shouldn't have been there in the first place. And the school didn't make a change until the parents complained. There's a whole lot of wrong in that whole scenario there. But yeah, Buffalo, New York's State University campus abruptly decided to kick out dozens of illegal immigrants from its dorms this weekend after parents sounded the alarm over student safety in light of two sexual assaults involving migrants. Yeah, so 44 migrants were housed in the campus dorms. Sexual assaults occurred on students, but it took the complaints of the parents before the school made a change. That's what we're dealing with in the madness that is our mass migration problem right now in the United States. Now, do I believe that every single one of them that comes over here is a criminal? Well, okay, first of all, they broke the law to get here. There's that. No, I don't believe that every single one of them has criminal intent once they're inside the United States. But what happens when you look at it and say, well, that murder or that sexual assault or that drug overdose would not have occurred had we had a different border policy? That's where we are. And percentages of the United States population are now increased on Joe Biden's watch. And it's not because birthing people have been having babies. All right, we're going to take a break right now. We'll come right back, and I'll deliver a few more of these right now. This is what almost like a mini dipper. But yeah, Bill Williams, Rightside Radio. You guys stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Covering down some major ground, trying to do our best to make common sense a superpower. Hey, let me tell you who else brings a lot of common sense to bear on the things that they do. ZLA Solutions. ZLA Solutions, they provide all kinds of solutions to businesses about various aspects of the ways it takes to run your business. They can help you with logistics, warehousing, quality control, all that kind of stuff. But their bread and butter remains staffing. You need people, they can find you people. Man, I'm telling you, ZLA Solutions is working for big name employers all over North Alabama and beyond. And I mean, they can do the recruiting, the background checks, the drug testing, blue collar, white collar, no collar. It don't matter. They can find it for you. And if you need like special niche skills, they can do that. If you need a whole shift of people to run a factory or staff out a service industry or a hospital, yes, they can help you with that. So yeah, ZLA Solutions, their website is zlausa.com. That's ZLA Solutions at zlausa.com. And do me a favor, tell them you heard about it on Rightside Radio. All right, I gotta jump back on the text messages. I'm doing this little sort of almost like a mini dipper here of mass migration. I will tell you this, and Senator Britt mentioned it yesterday on the show, but it's true. Well, not that it wouldn't be true because she said it, but I'm just saying it is true. Fox News also reported, and I had this sitting in my queue ready for today, that the wall on the southern border, the big, beautiful wall that was being built, that the Biden administration has reportedly now been selling off millions of dollars worth of border wall materials in a race against Republicans who are trying to pass legislation to finish its construction. This is ridiculous. They are so determined not to have a wall that even though they already own the parts to put it up, they're selling off the parts before Republicans can make them build it. So we can buy them twice. Where's the money go? When you sell the parts, who gets the money? Where's it go? But yeah, all the materials that have been laying on a storage lot in Arizona were listed for sale on govplanet.com or .gov, an online auction marketplace. And that's just, to me, that's just unreal. I mean, we're literally at that point right now where they're not even trying to pretend. They are so desperate not to do anything to help the southern border that they'll sell off the stuff they already have just to prevent being told they have to do it. Hey, a couple of quick texts in here real quick. John from Huntsville just texted in, says, Mamma mia, Boomer, you get another A triple plus for an unbelievable amount of sound effects and for playing some awesome Magic Bus music.
Yes.
Phil, you and Dale says, Phil, you and Dale get an A double plus for doing a fantastic job. Jeff Poor gets a B minus. He says, however, Jeff from Indiana gets an A plus. So congratulations to Boomer. You're once again the champion, but there better be an episode of Boomer McQueen tomorrow. And I suspect there will.
I suspect there will. And did you know that I have that the college football pick'em ready? So we'll talk about it tomorrow. Maybe we can release it tomorrow.
Oh, let's get her done, bud. Yeah, we'll talk about it in the morning. That's absolute.
That'll be fun for everybody to jump in on.
Whoop whoop, and we'll just see how that, because I mean the NCAA March Madness thing you had set up for us was awesome.
Right,
and
now this will just last the whole season of football.
Yeah.
That'll be fun to keep track with.
Well, I'm gonna find out real quick whether I have bragging rights or not. Like probably within like week 2. But all right, JT from Lacey Springs, he says if Jeff doesn't call a sidebar today, maybe the mini dipper is going to get done. But then. Jeff from Indiana did text in and says, Phil, tell your buddy Dale Jackson I've got my Let's Go Brandon shirt ready to go as well to Gatlinburg. So, yeah, outstanding. Oh, he's headed to Gatlinburg. He's taking his Rightside Radio shirt with him too, Boom. That's good stuff. Thank you, man. Jeff, have a great time there. What else have I got real quick before I land? I'll tell you what, let me just do this. I've got the mass migration situation on the border. We have an article right here from redstate.com. Redstate.com reports, as of August 19th, what could possibly go wrong? Border Patrol records show an 800% increase in Chinese illegal aliens. Yeah, it's not just gone are the days when Mexicans come across the border, some Central Americans. No, the world is coming across our southern border. And you have to ask yourself, what's going on that's causing an 800% increase in Chinese citizens to come across our southern border? By the way, these are the ones we caught. Just the ones we caught. Mass migration, I'm telling you. How about this? I think whoever came up with this has just been brilliant. But the state of Texas is putting those water buoys in. Mexico's mad. Says part of them are Mexican territory. Well, hey, Mexico, I dare you to take them down. I dare you. Double dog dare you. All right, listen, it's been a great day. We will have a great day tomorrow. Boomer McQueen. And those of y'all that are out and about in Huntsville, stop by Terry's Pizza here in about an hour. We will have myself and Dale. And Yaffee is not going to be with us because Yaffee's wife has had a baby, we understand. So blessings on mama and baby. But yeah, it's going to be Dale and Mo Brooks and myself. But Trump's not going to be on stage tonight. So I don't know what Dale and Mo are going to talk about. We'll see. All right, folks. Phil Williams, Boomer, and I will see you tomorrow. Y'all have an amazing night.